Greg Harper.
Present.
Councilmember Kaplan.
Here.
Representing the City of San Leandro, Mayor Cutter.
Present.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Representing AC Transit, Director Greg Harper.
Here.
Director Chris Keeble, sitting in for Director Joel Young.
Here.
And Chair Ortiz.
Here.
And we do have a couple of absences, the Supervisor Miley from Alameda County and Mr. Sartipi, who is representing both the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and Caltrans.
Okay, next is any public comment for items not on the agenda?
We have none.
We have none, and then the next one is the Mayor's report, which is my report. Okay, good afternoon, fellow TSC members, distinguished colleagues, agency staff, and community members. I want to welcome all of you to the BRT Policy Steering Committee meeting. Today's meeting will focus on the significant progress we have made in many critical areas of the BRT project since our last meeting on September 30, 2014. Progress that would not be possible if not for the support and dedication of everyone working to deliver this project. Last October, the FTA awarded the Small Starts Grant Agreement, which secured the remaining $20.4 million in federal funding for the project. In addition, the City of Oakland was awarded 2 grants that will supplement many infrastructure improvements already paid for by the project, including a $2.48 million grant for pedestrian lighting and sidewalk repairs, and a $726,000 cap and trade affordable housing sustainable communities grant for transit-related pedestrian amenities in support of a new affordable housing projects at 23rd Avenue and 94th Avenue. The City of San Leandro will benefit from a new modernized BART Transit Center. And Phase 2 of the Fruitvale Village expansion is underway. Many other housing and commercial development projects along the BRT corridor are in the works as well. The BRT project will also fund a $2.794 million business technical assistance program throughout the corridor to identify and address the direct permanent impact of BRT facilities on adjacent businesses. While most businesses along the BRT corridor will realize significant benefits, some may be adversely impacted. To that end, Oakland City staff has proposed a set of mitigation packages in the form of a business sustainability program to allow businesses to thrive and survive the transition to the new BRT corridor. These proposed solutions include a comprehensive parking improvement plan that will be shared with you this afternoon. In addition, the district advertised and awarded construction contracts for utilities relocation and parking lot construction, which you hear more about in today's meeting. The interagency team, AC Transit San Leandro, Oakland, and Caltrans are working hard to resolve technical issues, develop and propose practical, cost-effective programmatic solutions, and renew outreach efforts with community stakeholders to enhance transparency and exclusivity. There are still some tough decisions to be made, but we're confident that we will work through them and deliver to our community a world-class transit service worthy of international recognition. At this time, I would like to invite Council members Kaplan and Gallo to say some words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you for all your work on this over quite an extended period of time. I've had the honor to represent Oakland on this committee for several years now, and prior to that, worked on this project on the AC Transit Board. And I wanted to share my deep thanks to some of the great progress that's happened in the last few months. It is really a testament to the benefits of working together. I'd like to specifically also name and thank Oakland's new Assistant City Administrator, Claudia Capio, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but who has been very, very helpful in working to resolve issues. Also like to welcome Oakland's new Transportation Policy Director, Matt Nichols, who is here today, who has also gotten involved and has a lot of background in this area. So we've had 2 new people on the Oakland team, as well as, of course, the ongoing work of Christine Calabrese and other people on Oakland's team who've been here, but we have 2 new additions to the Oakland team that have been helping to advance this project. And I also really want to express Oakland's appreciation to Kathleen Kelly for also being an absolutely crucial part of that enhanced communication and working together. As you mentioned, there are some grants that Oakland has sought and obtained that will further enhance and strengthen this corridor. Oakland has also entered into a contract with the Oakland Business Development Center to develop and implement the Business Impact Mitigation Program so that that can move ahead in a timely way. And we recently had a very constructive meeting with staff from both agencies in which we talked about ways to save money on the construction, and so we're having very important progress in a wide array of areas, and I really want to thank everyone who is being a part of that. And lastly, just to share an anecdote, even though it's from a different corridor, there was a recent study done in Temescal about business traffic and who's shopping in the shops. And what that study discovered is that the #1 way that customers who were shopping were getting to and from the shops was on the AC Transit bus, was the #1 method. The #2 method was bicycling. And so I just share that good news because I think it bodes well for the positive impact we can have when we pull this off in a healthy and collaborative way for this BRT corridor.
Thank you, Rebecca, for all the help you have provided all the years. Councilman Gallo?
Thank you. Correct me if this is not the right place on the agenda to at least express not only my appreciation to the merchants, neighbors that are here today, to continue to provide their input and recommendations and share their concerns with us. So I welcome you. So just as we begin our discussion or go through our discussion, I'm going to just raise a couple of questions that perhaps you can address them as you make your presentation. So the first one really has to do with keeping our commitment between the City of Oakland and AC Transit when it came to the $2 million for business assistance. I know that we have gone through interim executive directors, and certainly we keep changing our administrators. But I want to make sure that whoever remains continues, that the commitment that the City Council and AC Transit made previously, that we continue to honor that commitment. And that's specifically regarding the $2 million from AC Transit regarding FTA. Secondly, what I would ask to really clearly define if anything has changed or anything will be stalled regarding those previous commitments that we have made. I would like to go on record or to request our staff to be able to bring those forward. Secondly, one is the efforts that we're making to keep our residents and merchants and communications informed. We had set some very high expectations publicly and privately, and we want to make sure that we continue to honor those, which includes, everything from landscaping the medians, the stations presentations, and so we can continue to address that item. Also, I noticed on your agenda we have a local hire program, and I think that's excellent, and hopefully, certainly the City of Oakland has some models that we've been trying to implement, and we'd be happy to work with you. The other one is that has been brought to my attention is the attention that we have given to Derby Street. And I know that we had had many communications with the school previously, but now due to the delays, the school begins in August, but yet I want to make sure that we're not interfering on a daily basis with when the children are in school, that if we need to do construction on the weekend, not to interrupt the school, then that's something we need to do. Then number 5 would be regarding an update on the parking accommodations, not only the impact on the merchants, but I notice more often now neighborhood impact, where if you want to ride BART or you want to park on International or do business on International, I see people parking along the streets all the way up to Foothill and around the neighborhood, taking up the neighbors' parking on those corridors. And it's really, the last one is really to enhance, foster, develop, have greater ties with our cooperation between the governmental bodies, and also to make sure that the merchants are informed of all actions on a regular basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Ortiz. First, I wanted to thank the AC Transit for hosting today's meeting with the East Bay Rapid Transit, or BRT. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Councilmember Karina Lopez, who will say a few words in a bit to introduce herself. But she's taking over Michael Gregory's spot. But Karina and I represented the same district Karina represented before I became mayor. So we're both really tied into the area, and it happens to be the only area the BRT is coming through in our city. And like many of you, I was at the small grants agreement ceremony last year, and it was great to see that we're, continuing to look for money that's not just coming from one source, but look for grants that make our progress available, and that we have money to do these special things, because as reality sets in and you're starting to look like Councilman Gallo, you always envisioned it, but now you're kind of seeing what reality is, and so there are little tweaks along the line that have to be done. And I just want to say there's a few changes that we made in San Leandro that I'm very appreciative of. We realized that one of the stops was going to be in front of a business and a chiropractor who needed handicap parking for the nature of her business, and we were going to block the whole block right there and take all the parking spots away. And we were able to bring AC Transit out and work with them, and we worked with very little drama, and it was appreciated, but drama from the neighbors, yes, but very little drama between us, and we were able to move it down about a block in front of it's AT&T's building where they work inside, and there's no parking, whatever. So that was just a great win-win for our community, and I thank you for that. And then the other concern we had is when we were looking at the end of the station, it was going into the BART station and how that's going to affect parking. And the original design was going to take out one of the entrances to the parking lot, and we were able to work together to figure out how to reconfigure their parking lot so we could keep that entrance, and that's really a win for our community. So I appreciate the work that you've done with that. The other is, as San Leandro, we're excited to work with AC Transit. We've put in some of our own money to be able to enhance one more area. We were allocated one enhanced station, and now we're going to have 2 through money that we put in through our city, because we think it's such a good project, and we want to make sure that we're a good partner. So that, our undergrounding is just about complete. We just have a little bit to go on that. And I just want to say that we appreciate the partnership and look forward to working things through as we see reality come in. So thank you.
Councilwoman Lopez.
Good afternoon. My name is Karina Lopez, council member for District 5 in the city of San Leandro. I want to thank AC Transit for meeting with me personally this week to brief me on this project, and also for AC Transit to meet with the city of San Leandro 2 other times in this past month to really take in our feedback with the station stop at the BART station. I have 2 stops that will be located in my district, so I look forward to working with you on this effort and towards its success. Thank you.
And my fellow board members,
Greg, do you want to say anything?
no? There's nothing?
Okay.
I guess my voice is enough.
Okay, let's move to 4. Consider approving the East Bay BRT Policy Steering Committee minutes of March 24, 2014 and September 30, 2014. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition?
I think we have a couple of abstentions.
I'll abstain on both of them.
Yeah.
Abstention.
For you too.
And I think
So
Treasurer Harper has-
is that enough to approve?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So passes whatever with whatever abstentions. Now we move to information items. David Wilkins?
Chair Ortiz, before we get started, I have some public speakers that requested to speak maybe as a group, but individually at the onset of the presentation,
Okay.
rather than break up the presentation
Okay.
later.
Sure.
So if you will indulge them, I'll ask them to come on up. And you'll each have 2 minutes to speak, and we just ask that you identify yourself and give your name before you start your comments.
My name is Manuel Romero, from Romero Gas Distributors, on International Boulevard, 1825. I'm here to ask, about the commitments that AC Transit in the city of Northland promised to do for immersions to help. What will the assistance provide? Where and how many parking spaces it will be provided? Are they still committed to these parking areas that mentioned before? And if the 2 million grants for BRT mitigation to the city, they still going to be provided to the merchants that be impacted by the project. Also, how this program will work, and if it's real, when can be started, and when you guys been talking to the merchants for assistance? Thank you.
Thank you.
Bien, my name is Q Guerrero, I'm for Football. The same petition that Mr. Romero asked you is the same petition for the football merchants, because football need more parkings. Right now, it's very difficult. Mr. Gallo knows. Football is, right now, is kind of big trouble by the little business. The little business not survivor more than 2 years. See the city helps for more parkings. So, Noel Gallo knows I need help. At AC Transit, in the city, give me an opportunity for survivor this business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Thinle. I'm representing Itlet. I'm also a business owner on Itlet. And our concern is parking. I hope that AC Transit still keep the promise to the business owner, and we really need to have a public parking right in the center of Itlet. And right now, for my customer to come to my business, take them an hour to run around to find a parking space, but they cannot even find parking space. And when that day come, it probably going to be harder. So please have a public parking space right in the center of Itlet, so it's better for everybody. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Alan Wynn. I own Generation Beauty Supply on 1930 International. I've been in business at that location for roughly about 10 years now. And we did look over all the plans that the AC Transit has made. And we believe that it's going to affect my business in a really, really harsh way. My business depends a lot on easy access from people driving up. I do a wholesale business. We load, about 10 pallets every week of merchandise. And I need that access to the front of my store. And I was just hoping that AC Transit could keep its promise on a forgivable loan to help the merchants out. I myself has already started, putting money out of my own pocket to adjust for the AC Transit. I need help in reorganizing my business, reorganizing the storefront. I already started out of my own pocket, like I said, to switch the front of my business to the back alleyway, so I can have access, people parking. I do have an empty lot in the back, but I just do not have enough funds to support my business and turning my business around so I can have parking in the back. It's desperately needed. Customers are complaining every single day that they're driving around in circles just looking for parking. So I hope that AC Transit could help businesses like mine adjust to the way AC Transit is going to impact our businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Chan, representative 1-800 International Boulevard, Chan Auto Inc. Actually, I just helped my husband to come over to speak something. I'm so busy. Every meeting I'm from, San Francisco. I make very big, very hard time to come here. But anyway, we need to do things. One is $2 million, and second, the loan from Oakland City, and then third is the parking. We need more space, and is that the project is in fact a loss our business, my husband's business, because we are the auto shop. The people cannot take the bus to fix it to my place, fixing the car, right? They have always drive, so I will come over to my shop. And then they cut the link, they close one link, it's very hot, it means it's in fact a lot, damage. So we need a loan, we need more, we need money, right? So the project already started, now at the football. So now this couple weeks from April, our business rate is very slow now. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Antonio Vasquez. I am the owner of Jalisco Restaurant on International Boulevard. We've been there since 1969. My father opened up back then. I've been coming to the meeting since day one, and I met up with BRT, AC Transit people. We had a one-on-one. I heard what they had to say. What captivated me was we're going to get this money to help out the businesses. So I took it upon myself, and as of today, I've been closed for 2 weeks, renovating my place to get ready for this whole project. The permits downtown Oakland, I don't know if they're backed up, but the construction guys that I hired, they haven't worked in 7 days. I'm losing money. My permits aren't coming through. I'm losing money. It's going to be a month that I've been closed. I don't know how long those are going to take. But right now, I agreed to do some renovation in my place because I was looking forward to later getting some of that money to help out my business. Once I open, I'm going to be happy that I'm going to get my customers back, hopefully. But with this construction going on and the money we're not going to be receiving, that's going to be another hurt to my business. This money that we're supposed to get could really help me out in the future, because right now I am closed. This is my 3rd week closed on the restaurant, and it's I'm waiting on the permits. I can't do anything. No one's called me, no one's done anything in business, so I'm losing a lot of money right now. So if we could get those that unforgivable loan, that would be great. I think it would help everybody out, not just myself, maybe other people also. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Andy Nelson. We've been here before. I appreciate the comments about the Temescal corridor. I feel obliged to point out that East 14th is not the Temescal. I think it does point out some of the challenges that we have in Oakland, as we are welcoming a lot of new residents, and there's a lot of new folks coming in, and there's a lot of changes coming. At the same time, how do we actually preserve and value what we have here now? So, East 14th International Corridor, hundreds of businesses out there do not fit into a transit pedestrian-oriented model. These are businesses that, you heard from a lot of them today, these are businesses that serve automotive-related uses, these are wholesale businesses, these are appliance repair, delivery businesses that actually need vehicle access. I just heard from my friend Rosendo Gomez in the Fruitvale district that what he knows about from his end down around the 39th Street stop is that 75%, his businesses have seen a 75% decline in business even during this initial first phase of construction because of parking and crowded, and customers drive around and just like, forget it, we're leaving. So this is a real issue. I do want to say, so I hope that we value these communities and these businesses as much as we do those in the tennis cow. And I want to believe that we do. I think we've made some progress over the last year or so here. So you've heard it. We really have three things that we need to do. One is that we need to find a way to create a parking lot in the East Lake and in the Fruitvale area between High and 39. Two is that AC Transit needs to do what AC Transit promised to do and restore the $2 million. I don't know why we're here having that conversation at all, actually, but we are. Second, the third thing is that the City of Oakland, actually, we want to engage in some kind of a program, a forgivable loan program, whatever it may be, I'll wrap up quickly, that actually provides direct assistance to businesses. And so what actually we would propose is that City of Oakland staff sit down with some of us and figure out what that program can look like, get that done, get it before council, and get this wrapped up before we move on to, bid package 2 and bid package 3. So, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, may I comment? First of all, I really want to thank all of you for being here and for all of your really important work over many years. And just to share with everyone that there are some businesses that do need vehicle access. And I say that as someone who walks and bikes and takes transit, but it's for us to remember that it is true that some of these businesses that sell refrigerators and have very specific needs, that it absolutely is true that there are certain businesses that because of their specific situation do need access for cars and trucks. And an example of, for example, moving a door of a business from one side to another side to accommodate that loading is a perfectly appropriate business mitigation. They could be funded, should be funded, those types of things are exactly the intention, and Oakland did sign the contract to start this business mitigation effort. I'm a little worried to hear people are spending money first and then hoping to come back, so I hope folks are communicating. And I know we have several Oakland City staff in the room. Somebody could raise their hand. Thank you so much. So the Oakland City staff are here because I know AC Transit staff are not handling this particular issue. So I wanted to make sure folks have specific questions about getting in touch with the business mitigation, that if Oakland staff and them could get together and see what needs to be done on that so that we make sure that the individual cases get handled. But absolutely, we did authorize putting money aside for this purpose. So I look forward to those things getting taken care of well.
Okay, thank you. Let's move now, David Wilkins, where are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Policy Steering Committee members. Yes.
No, I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'll just kind of stand to the side a little bit.
Good afternoon, David Wilkins. I'm the BRT Program Director. And what we're going to do this afternoon is I'm going to kind of play host as a master of ceremonies of sorts. I'm going to invite staff up to give an update on various aspects of the BRT project. And it's my intent that in that process, we'll be able to address many of the comments and questions and inquiries that have been made by both our elected officials as well as community members. While I understand that community members have had an opportunity to speak up to this point, if the chair so approves, we can take additional comment throughout the presentation if that's warranted. So, in any case, next slide, please. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We want to cover some key program activities and then talk about some of the specific construction activities that are going on the quarter. So this first part is going to be some of the programmatic activities that are going on. And the first one that is up is we're going to be talking about a new policy from the Department of Transportation around local hire, which is great for this project and this community. That's going to be a complete change in the policy as to what was being done before. So you'll be very excited to hear about that. I'm also going to talk about the business impact mitigation funding, and to address the question that Andy raised about that commitment and Councilmember Guile raised. We're going to explain where we stand on that, and that commitment is there. We're also going to talk about the parking improvement program as well, and then give an update on the program schedule and budget. So without further ado, I'll invite staff up to start now, and first we'll talk about the local hire program.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Andrea Lowe, consultant working with the BRT team. And I'm excited as well that we have sort of an initial reversal. Yes?
Yeah, Andrea, you're going to talk about the change in the law. That's why we're able to do the local
Yes,
hire. Yeah.
yes, and how we're addressing. I think there's the next slide.
Yeah.
So yes, recently the Department of Transportation has announced a pilot program that would allow recipients of federal funds to implement local hiring goals on federally funded projects. Previously, if you were a recipient of federal funds, you couldn't have those restrictions. And so we're excited about this because this allows us the opportunity to consider placing a goal on the third bid package that's coming up. We don't have the opportunity on bid packages 1 and 2 since those contracts were already awarded, but gives us an opportunity on the third bid package to look at implementing local hiring goals for the contractor that will be working on that particular project. So we attended a conference call that was hosted by the Department of Transportation and brought the information back to the internal staff and had a meeting to really assess the feasibility and how we needed to go about implementing this program on our project and what the next steps would be. We've also taken an opportunity to meet with the key advisory groups that are in place, called out through the construction careers policy as well as the project labor agreement. So we've met with those individual committees, let them know about the pilot program and our desire to implement local hiring goals, and gotten some feedback from them as far as the local hiring goals that have been implemented in other cities and what our goals could potentially be. The advisory committee of the construction careers policy has representatives from the city of San Leandro, city of Oakland, as well as the building trades. And the advisory committee for the project labor agreement is chaired by Andreas Kluver from the building trade. So they're definitely aware of this pilot program and the district's desire to participate in the program. So the next steps are we need to draft the language, the local hiring goals that are going to take place and be implemented and written into the project labor agreement and the construction careers policy. Both committees have asked to review that language before it's put forth in the bid packages. And then we also need to advise our FTA partners, who are the individuals that we would need to liaison with on this local hiring pilot program initiative. So we're taking those steps right now and having those conversations so that we can be well in advance of bid package 3 being issued and the notices that need to be placed in that communication.
Hold on. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. This is really good news to hear. One of my questions that when you're talking about local hire, and you have different bid packages, I'm not sure whether the bid packages are territorial, meaning that they stop at Oakland-San Leandro border. I'm just assuring that San Leandro, at least when you're working in our area, that we have that ability to have local hire also.
So yes, we definitely looked at what would local hire mean on this particular program, and the initial conversations we're having is local would mean Oakland and San Leandro
Great.
residents.
Great, thank you so much.
Good night. Yeah, I'm glad, I support PLAs and certainly the local hire effort, but who will, and I see we have managed by Philip McCants and support from Andrea Lowe.
That's me.
Who's Philip McCants?
Philip McCants is the contract compliance manager for AC Transit.
Is he an employee of the AC Transit?
Yes.
All right, so your program will be reporting to the administrator in terms of the progress, the implementation of the program, as well as to this advisory group?
Yes, and both of those two committees that are noted on the slide, we meet monthly, the advisory committee for the Construction Careers Advisory Program and the advisory committee for the PLA, and we share with them how the contractors have been doing. Right now, we're monitoring apprentice utilization and hiring goals and things of that nature, so when we get to the third bid package, we'll be sharing with them how the contractors are doing and meeting the local hiring goals.
But it's just for the administrators, so I guess for me is to be very clear in terms of representation throughout the city of Oakland, because we sometimes talk a lot about equity, but we do one thing. So what I would look forward in terms of making sure that within our local hire, that Oakland is represented in terms of its population and some of its needs as well. So I look forward to working with you on those goals. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about that I know is near and dear to everybody's heart is business impact mitigation plan and funding. And I'm going to go through some details about it in the next few slides. I'm going to show you how we've organized and arranged our budget within the entire BRT program to fund different aspects of the business impact mitigation plan and funding. But first, I just wanted to emphasize that this is a plan that has been developed in collaboration with our city partners, and there's proportional amounts of funding for both Oakland and San Leandro. So this is a corridor-wide effort. It's not just related to one individual city, so it supports this regional transit project that the BRT is. And essentially, it consists of four major components. One is that we have a budget where we are applying mitigations. It came out of the final environmental impact statement report, and I'll talk a little bit more about those. We also have a budget that addresses the temporary impacts that occurred during construction. And then we also have budget for permanent impacts resulting from the BRT infrastructure and the operation of the service, and that's where the business technical assistance funding comes in. It's part of that, and I'll describe what that is here in a little bit. And then the last piece of it is the parking improvement program. All right, so the next slide you see up here talks about the budget for that we have for the mitigations from the environmental impact study. Essentially, this deals with the parking mitigation lots that we have in the Fruitvale district and out in the Elmhurst district. And it also includes the mitigations with the service laterals, the sewer laterals that are being in place along the corridor as we speak as part of bid package 1, the utility relocation. And it's important to emphasize that these are viable mitigations that represent just as an important business impact mitigation as with business technical assistance or the funding that we have for any impacts that occur during construction. And these are, in these cases, with the sewer lateral improvements, these are a direct benefit to the property owners whose laterals were impacted by the utility relocation, because they're getting both a sewer lateral upgrade in most cases at no cost to them, and it allows them to become current in that with a certificate from that'll be processed through East Bay Mud, which will allow them to meet the requirements that need to be in place in the future. So that's a great benefit to the community. The second bucket or element within the business impact mitigation funding is this is for the temporary mitigations. And so this first slide you see here is this is the budget within the city of Oakland. So we are already using some of this money now. This is going to go, and we're using it during bid packages 1 and 2 as it's been occurring. This covers for example, this also covers the cost of the BRT Information Center, which we've opened and staffed. The Community Construction Relation Manager, who's been out there working with community. It was used, it's included in the budget for our contractors for both BP1 and BP2, and has been used already in such instances to do window washing for merchants whose facilities were impacted by some of the construction dust that was generated during the construction activity. So, so this represents the $2.165 million budget in Oakland. The next slide shows the proportional budget in San Leandro, $255,000, and this covers the combination of these two budgets covers the dollar amount we program into our budget for temporary mitigations during construction. Okay, the third element that's in our overall business impact mitigation plan funding is to address permanent mitigations resulting from the final infrastructure service operation of the BRT. And so this consists of several sub-pieces. So the first part is $500,000 that AC Transit has programmed into the budget to deal with FTA eligible mitigations resulting from the permanent impact. So this would cover situations and circumstances such as repositioning entryways that may be impacted if a curbside station somehow adversely impacts an adjacent business, or perhaps repositioning signage or something like that. And so this budget is under the control of AC Transit. Below that, as you can see on the slide, you will see that there is a series of elements that comprise what we're calling the Oakland Business Sustainability Program, but a part of which is funded by AC Transit, which is that first line you see there listed as item 2A, the Oakland Business Technical Assistance Program. So that money is committed. AC Transit is honoring its commitment. The main issue, and that money has always been within the program, the issue that we have had over the past year is that we were trying to identify a way to make those funds unrestricted so that they could be used in the way that the City of Oakland had originally intended for its portion of the Business Technical Assistance Program. And I'm happy to say that we found a way to do that. And so, so we're still working through the final mechanics on a funding agreement between our two agencies to make this thing a reality. But the money is there. We found a way to make it unrestricted so that Oakland can initiate its Business Technical Assistance Program and be able to provide the kinds of services that it had intended. And if you'll see from the slide, well, I'll let Michelle Berg from the City of Oakland is going to elaborate on that in a little bit, so I'll let her speak to that, as well as the other elements that comprise the City of Oakland's Business Sustainability Program. The next slide represents the proportional budget that we have for San Leandro for permanent mitigations, and as you can see there, $294,000. So the total amount between AC Transit, the City of San Leandro, and the City of Oakland for business technical assistance services is $2,794,000. And that's a commitment that we had talked about previously, Councilmember Guile. That's a commitment that we're honoring and staying committed to today. Now specifically, on the next slide, the Construction Impact Mitigation Plan for Bid Package 3 describes the planning document that the AC Transit staff and its contractors are going to follow as we execute our community construction relation during the construction of bid package 3. Bid package 3 is a very large, approximately $90 million construction effort. It's going to cover a lot of work zones throughout the corridor. It's going to be phased in a way that's going to minimize the impact of businesses and minimize the amount of time we're constructing in any given block at any given period of time. And it's going to be done in a way to reduce the amount of infrastructure that has to be mothballed while we wait for the final revenue service to start up. And so this is a document, again, that's being developed jointly with our city partners from both Oakland and San Leandro, because it covers the entire corridor, as do all of these programs. And so we're in the process of developing this. This is part of the program that will come back to the board, to the AC Transit Board and the councils in the fall for final approval and authorization. So I'd like to elaborate a little bit more about the business technical assistance piece that AC Transit has, and that's the $500,000 that we are using right now, and talk about where that's going into to effect. So as a result of our community outreach effort during the design and development process, in particular in the last year, there are several stations that we had to relocate because of that permanent impact. And so that redesign process was one of the things that was covered, with this budget. So there were station locations that were shifted in San Leandro as well as in Oakland. And so this is where those dollars come in. And again, it's also because with this pot of money, it has to be FDA eligible type expenses. We're also examining other locations on the corridor as part of our ongoing outreach effort. But the idea is that it addresses direct permanent impacts to properties along the corridor. And this is the same scope of services that we apply in San Leandro, so that's why I indicated we've done some redesign for areas in San Leandro as a result of having these dollars available. So that covers how the business technical assistance is being done with the AC Transit budget and with the portion of the budget we have for San Leandro. Any questions on this part so far?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yes. And I think I'm trying to read ahead of you a little bit, but just for the administrator. So I know that several months ago we got stalled in terms of the operations, in terms of the disagreements between AC Transit and the city of Oakland. I mean, that has changed. We have now come to an agreement. So we resolved the issue about the $2 million here and $2 million there. And does that include the fiber optics discussion that we were talking about?
Heavily.
So for the city administrator, for the administrator.
That's probably the way the logistics of how we can work the $2 million transfer. That's what we're working through with the staff on how to do it, but yes, we know we can.
So that commitment has been resolved, we're in agreement, and we can move forward. Okay, thank you.
Yes. If there are no further questions, then I'll be followed by my colleagues from the City of Oakland.
Thank you. Michelle Bird, Department of Housing and Community Development with the City of Oakland. So I'm just going to piggyback off of what David has said. We are extremely excited and have been working diligently with AC Transit to move forward with what we think is going to be an instrumental project along International Boulevard. We believe it's going to be a catalyst that is going to provide economic growth along International Boulevard, and it's going to highlight some of the work that we've already been doing on International Boulevard, that we've been moving forward with doing affordable housing and doing economic development along that area. We have been working diligently pre-BRT, we'll be working diligently during BRT and post-BRT. Some of the things that we've already done is that we've been successful in obtaining grants to move forward with doing some sustainability. We received a $1 million grant from the state to do some sustainability, looking at economic development, housing, and workforce along there, as well as infrastructure. We've been successful in receiving a $3 million grant to supplement funding for an affordable housing project on 23rd and International, and that also included $740,000 for pedestrian and sidewalk. So we are extremely excited about what is going on and what the future brings with BRT. We want to make sure that as we move forward with the BRT, that there continues to be businesses, and as a commitment with AC Transit, the City of Oakland committed to moving forward with a business mitigation program. And that included bringing on a contractor to provide the technical assistance. And it has been indicated we have moved forward and we are entering into that contract with Oakland Business Development Corporation. And they will be going along the corridor and do an assessment of all the businesses. We have a complete database that shows the different types of businesses. We will be doing a swap analysis, working with those businesses, determining what type of impact the BRT will have, sitting down and developing plans and coming up with something comprehensive to ensure that the business stays there. Some of the highlights and the objectives that we will have with the technical assistance program is to mitigate BRT construction by working with the businesses prior to construction to help them prepare for what is to come. Respond to the community and business requests for support from the City of Oakland and to help businesses that will be impacted by the construction. We'll be gathering information prior to construction that can be used for post-construction assessments to evaluate the long-term impact of construction on the businesses and increase business capacities and productivity to avoid business relocation. And as has been stated, $2 million has been set aside to work on this contract. The first phase will be doing the analysis. As requested by our City Council, we will be going back in sometime in September, maybe in October, to give them an overview of those analyses and the recommendations of the different type of products that we feel that will be substantial to help these businesses maintain. That could include a grant. It can include financial assistance in a 0% deferred loan. It can include some type of amortization loan. It can include some type of infrastructure billing. We do not know that at this point in time because they are still going out and doing the analysis. And then the determination of the eligibility to receive those funds will be decided by our City Council, and that was what's requested. And there has been set aside $2 million, $1 million from Community Development Block Grant Funds and $1 million from the city's general fund. And those will be the funds that will be available to provide to the businesses for assistance. Now that is a large number, but we recognize that there is still a greater need out there, and we will probably have to look for additional funds. And we've been fortunate enough to have OBDC that has been out there beating the pay work and working with a number of businesses and banks to bring additional funds to the table, but we recognize that we'll more than likely have to bring additional funds. In addition to that, we do have in the budget a business interruption fund, but there are no funds assigned to that at this point in time, but it is included as a thought in that we will look at that. As I've already indicated, that there's been a substantial amount of funds that have been put into the project that we've spoken about. And so we are, again, excited to move forward. We want to continue to meet the commitment with the businesses because we want to make sure that as the BRT comes on board, that the residents can hop off of BRT, take care of their businesses, and know that that next train is going to be coming up in 5 minutes later. So that is the incentive of this project, and we want to make sure that the businesses are there. I'm available for any questions.
I need to understand. So the first $2 million, the BTA, that comes from whom? Who's the source of that funding, the first one?
The first one is from AC Transit.
AC Transit.
Correct.
The second one?
The second one is a combination of funds that the city has put together, $1 million general fund.
Oh, that's the one below?
Yes.
Okay. So then, before that, we had 500,000 from AC Transit.
Correct.
As well. So we are supplying 2.5.
Correct.
2,500,000.
Yes.
And so, what is the difference between the BRT capital improvement mitigation projects and that 500? Was that was supplied by AC Transit, and the other one?
So AC Transit had a commitment of $2.5 million to the business mitigation. So the $500,000 that is directly being implemented by AC Transit is the 500,000, which David spoke of, that is the direct impact.
So that's
permanent.
different than this BRT, the 2 million that
Correct.
comes from the city?
Correct.
Okay.
Director Ortiz, the 500, that was the money that was for FTA eligible direct
Okay.
impacts.
Okay. Any other questions? Rebecca?
I just really want to publicly thank Michelle Berg for your work on this. It is so much clearer now for people what's going on, and thank you for waving your hand earlier when I asked the folks if they have questions for Oakland staff who they could talk to. So in case you missed that, this is Michelle, who is fabulous, and I really appreciate also the creativity of working with the multiple different funding streams to put together the total package, as well as the items at the bottom, of course, which are grant awards, which have been received due to a lot of work. So thank you for that. And absolutely, I look forward to the continued positive work with the businesses to make sure folks get what they need, because at the end of the day, this can be a great project that can improve quality of life for everyone, and we want to make sure that everyone feels that. So I think your work is really helping with that. Thank you. Thank you.
So I will hand this over to Christine Calabrese, who will talk in regards to the parking.
Good afternoon, Chair Ortiz and member of the committee, members. As you and my colleagues have already discussed, AC Transit and the city have made tremendous progress since last fall, not the least of which is more than doubling the interagency commitment to the combined Oakland parking and business impact mitigation programs. We didn't do a tally for you, but the combined total for Oakland and San Leandro is now approaching $20 million. We were in the middle of last year, we were talking about how 8 million or 9 million were not enough. So we've really answered the call of both the Oakland and San Leandro City Councils to put together an interagency fund for parking and business impact mitigations. We've detailed the business impact mitigation programs, and now would like to discuss the companion parking impact mitigation program for Oakland. As you might remember, AC Transit and the city, in collaboration with community stakeholders, conducted extensive one-to-one merchant engagement and held neighborhood-based design review meetings during the 65% design phase of the major roadway program. The city's lead transportation engineering consultant, Fair & Peers, participated in all these meetings and gathered extensive information about individual merchant and neighborhood parking issues. It was ultimately decided by the interagency staff team that Fair & Peers would develop the parking impact and parking improvement plans for the Oakland portion of the BRT project, since in the final analysis, the city will be responsible to maintain and manage the parking assets on the BRT corridor. Next slide, please. It is notable that the current proposed parking improvements to be constructed by the BRT project, which you see in the last column, result in a less than 10% parking loss overall, down from upwards of 20% at the geometric design phase and from 17% when in the middle column just applying the baseline BRT improvements. It is also notable that commercial parking is increased in all categories, and that time-limited parking and parking in all categories, including time-limited parking, and parking loss is limited to the uncontrolled category. I want to just pause here because we want to recognize, which has already been discussed by the committee today, that while at this phase in the 100% design, the emphasis is on dealing with the on-corridor improvements and deciding what will be physically constructed by the BRT project, we recognize the programmatic burden of dealing with the conflict between employee parking and residential parking on the side streets. And that has to be our next endeavor, and we need to do that collaboratively, and we're very much aware of that. I want to thank our AC Transit partners for collaborating with the city to fund the improvements necessary to implement the Oakland plan, which includes an increase in the number of parking meters and permanently reclaiming abandoned driveways along the corridor to maximize the number of on-corridor parking spots. I will now invite Rob Rees from Fair & Peers to review the parking impacts and improvements in greater detail.
Can you go to the previous slide? So I'm going to just talk a little bit about
some of the impacts and the resulting condition for making the physical changes along the corridor in support of the businesses as well as the BRT system. The numbers that you see up on the screen, the 17% is consistent with what was identified in the final environmental impact report as far as the level of parking impact. And so the work that we've done collaboratively with AC Transit and the community is to reduce that impact, so that now it's from about 17% to 9%. And so what we're doing is we're able to provide additional mitigation and offset additional impacts well beyond what the final environmental document indicated. Next slide. Or, I'm sorry, one more item. Back, please. Just to give you a sense at the end of the day, if the parking improvement plan, after it's been implemented, there would be a loss of about 185 parking spaces that would be directly attributable to the BRT project. And so this is a vast reduction over what was originally identified in the FEIS. The difference between the loss of 185 spaces and the loss of 274 spaces that you see in the slide above the 9%, those are associated with us converting parking spaces to commercial loading zones. One of the issues that the merchants had along the corridor that we spoke with was not only the inability for customers to park, but also for loading operations to occur. And so we provided more loading zones for the community, and then we also provided pedestrian enhancements at the intersections, which resulted in some loss of parking. Next slide. Overall, what we did in our study to get from the 17% to the 9% is that we applied additional criteria beyond what was in the FEIS. And again, these are physical project-based criteria, not programmatic. What Christine had said, the next step now is to look at programmatic solutions where we have conflicts. What we did is we looked at the corridor and how it was being used, and we simplified the parking system along International Boulevard by putting in a base 2-hour parking rate for International Boulevard itself and/or parking meters. And you do this to obtain parking turnover and be able to provide customer parking throughout the day. We also looked at areas that had fairly strong commercial activity, the East Lake area, San Antonio, Fruitvale area in particular, and we identified these as customer priority zones, and it was in those areas that we proposed put in additional parking meters so that you could have better parking turnover, more focused enforcement, better utilization of the loading zones and the use of the curb space. We also, the parking improvement plan also incorporates the many suggestions that were raised by the merchants and the stakeholders that we met with along the corridor. And like I said, they range from providing parking meters, providing 2-hour parking, expanding commercial loading zones, relocating commercial loading zones to better facilitate loading for particular blocks and that sort of thing. To give you, next slide, an idea of where the impacts have occurred, the slide that you see now identifies the green areas are areas where we lose less than 9% of the parking. The yellow area that you see is in the East Lake area, and we lose between 9 and 20% of the parking in that area. I will say that that area was also identified as in the FEIS, the final environmental impact statement, as being impacted by parking. where the parking occupancy would be greater than an 85% threshold. That condition would occur with this plan as well. So it's consistent with the FEIS. Next slide.
Excuse me.
Yes, no, you can
Thank you for that. And I really appreciate the map making clear, you know, that on average we're not doing badly, but where are the impacts concentrated? And I think that's part of why you're getting a lot of merchants showing up from Eastlake, because as your data is showing, the Eastlake area is more impacted than some of the other areas. And so when we recently had a meeting that had both city and AC Transit staff in it, one of the things we asked is the city staff were going to start looking into if there might be any available potential lots in the Eastlake area to potentially do another parking lot. And so I just wanted to make sure that that's happening and that all the relevant people are talking to each other, that I think we should be still exploring an additional lot for that area. So.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have, there's been talk about where to provide lots, and now you have information that gives you a little bit more specificity to be able to address those long-term solutions. Next slide. In this slide, you'll see that there is more yellow area. There's yellow area, excuse me. There's yellow area from Seminary to 70th Avenue. That's again an area where you're losing between 9 and 20% of the parking. And then between 70th and 82nd, you're losing over 20% of the parking. And that is the red area on the map. I should also add that on International Boulevard, between 13th Avenue and 42nd Avenue, we're actually able to reduce the impacts to well less than what was identified in the final environmental impact report. And similarly on International Boulevard, between 82nd Avenue and Durant Avenue. And so we were able to, the map highlights the areas of impact, but we were also able to substantially improve a lot of the other areas along the corridor. And with that.
Oh, Chris?
Yeah, I've got a question. How many of these are new metered spaces, and how many of them are spaces where you are replacing one per block ticket vending machine with individual head parking meters?
At this level, we did not identify whether or not you would be installing an individual parking meter or you would be installing a vending system.
Thank you, and thanks for making the maps. It's very, very helpful. So I'm glad to hear we're going to keep working on finding a site in Eastlake to potentially add another lot. I think that would be very helpful. For those who haven't spent much time in it, Eastlake is growing and booming, and we don't want to let our long-term existing businesses get shut out of that experience. In terms of some other things that we could potentially look at, one issue that Oakland has been talking about in various other contexts as well is that we have a very high level of parking placard abuse going on, that people are wrongfully using disabled placards to park all day, and so a space that could serve over the course of a day 10 different customers is held all day by one person who holds it with the placard. So I just wanted to note that as something that we could potentially work on. I think there's a lot of segments of this corridor that have a lot of impact, and that one way to recover parking for the businesses, in addition to putting in the new lots and other mitigations, would be to have a strategy to crack down on the parking placard abuse, would also free up some spots. And that's something we're looking at anyway. And then the other question I had that was a more specific to AC Transit question is, are there still parts of this route where curbside bus stops will continue to exist and be in use even while this route, the BRT route, or what the 1R will become, will be moving to the median. But are there then still sidewalk side bus stops that will still be there?
There are, in the numbers that I present here, they do include the local crosstown buses that stop at near the BRT stations. And so one example of that would be around 45th or 46th Avenue.
Right.
As the local buses are transitioning across International, they have a stop near that BRT station so that transfers can occur as they cross the corridor.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad the transfers are being coordinated. I was more thinking of a route like the 14, which goes down several blocks of International, and whether we're going to be having both the new BRT stop in the center median and then also a curbside stop also on International for the 14, which then means fewer potential parking spaces in the heart of the Fruitvale, or is the 14 stops also being relocated?
I can't speak to the individual stop changes.
Okay, so maybe that's just a question we can plant and come check on later, because if there's still we're planned to be chunks of space used for bus stops on the curbside, then maybe that might be a decision point that could be changed. Okay, but that's we can follow up on. And actually, Oakland's in the middle of changing meter systems again, so I'm sure whatever meter system. Well, actually, I think parking lots, you don't have to follow the state law of giving all-day free parking to people abusing placards, so that will be helpful as well. Okay, I think that's thank you.
Councilmember Kaplan, if I may, we don't have a representative from Service Planning here that can answer your specific question about 14, bus line 14, but in general, during construction, there's going to be a beneficial use. So until the actual BRT stations open up, the existing local bus service with the 1 and 1R, and also the cross routes that actually still go on along International, those will still be in place. After the BRT comes online, there are still going to be many of the arterials that come onto International and then maybe go up for a couple blocks and then do the crossover. Those routes will still be in place, but the stops, I believe, are going to be shifted to the actual side street and not be on International anymore. But I will work with the staff internally to answer your question specifically to make it more clear for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, I have a question for the gentleman that was before David in terms of the parking. I'm sorry, I don't have your full name.
Rob Reese.
Robert?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Robert, are you under contract with the City of Oakland or you're with AC Transit?
Wow, that's a complicated. I'm an adjunct of staff for the City of Oakland.
So you're reporting to the City of Oakland staff.
Yes.
So the question that I have, I'm glad you're here. So the question that I have is really, I think, in consideration with BRT, all the transactions and improvements that are going on. You know, the City Council just approved at the BART station the development with the Unity Council where we're losing immediately 500 parking spaces in that immediate area of 35th Avenue and International. So I'm just wondering, is the city proactively looking how not only we're dealing with BRT, but yet we're dealing with the 500 parking spaces that we're losing due to the development that's going to go on with affordable housing, low-income housing, and market rate housing on that property?
Yeah, I think, like Christine had mentioned earlier, the next step in this, now that we have a kind of what the physical environment can look like for parking, the question is how, the next question to answer is just that. How do you deal programmatically with parking as businesses evolve, as properties redevelop, as in the case of the Unity Council project, you lose parking supply.
So you're the representative at the city that we can come to or invite when it comes to parking beyond BRT to address the greater picture, due to the fact that we have businesses and housing coming into that area that's going to be sitting right on top of the bus line.
That would be That would be a better question to ask Christine. I don't know if I will be on board in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year, so.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Rama Bocharaju, Senior PM for the BRT. Right in front of you is the overall program schedule for the BRT project. We are in final design phase for a major construction project, which is anticipated to be completed at the end of September. After the final design completion, we will enter into the bidding and awarding phase, which will from October to December of 2015, with the anticipated construction starting in February 2016. The revenue service date is November 2017. With that being said, given the longer than anticipated final design duration and reaching a consensus on a work sequence and staging plan is making a difficult a challenge for keeping the revenue service date in November. That being said, again, staff is diligently working on identifying a number of mitigation measures and working with the city and other agency partners to incorporate into the bid document so that delay will be minimized. So that's November 2017. With all the mitigations in, we can still probably the delay will be very highly minimized. This program budget is still remaining $178 million. That's 174 in the SSGA grant, and the additional money was of $3.8 million. Total is $178 million. The commitment for landscaping and everything is still within the same project. Nothing has changed there. But for reasons explained earlier, for the extended durations and everything, and some unfunded project elements, we expect the budget, the current project cost to go over the budget. And again, we are working with agency staff and funding partners to identify other funding sources to bridge the gap in the budget for that.
Now, I want to get this clear. So the 174 million, there 167,000, that is FTA money, and that's committed.
Yes, total $178 million is committed.
178 is committed.
Yep.
Okay, so it's fully committed, and that includes, according to this, that you've got an unallocated contingency of 16.7% to 17 million.
That's correct.
Okay, so why is it that you say that it is anticipated that the project's going to run over budget?
The construction cost, the unfunded elements right now, it doesn't reflect here the total cost. When we keep that and add it into the construction cost, the contingency level will go down below 10%, which is FTA requirements. Between 10 to 15% is what is required by FTA. Once we start adding all the extended durations and other unfunded needs, the contingency level go down to an acceptable level to enter into the construction.
So this is just pure construction direct?
Yes.
It includes soft costs of design?
Yes.
So it's engineering, design, and construction. So the stuff we've been talking about up until now, those soft costs of the mitigation and everything, that's not in the 178?
That's not been added. That's not been accounted in. Yeah, accounted for.
And that has not been funded, you're saying? Or at least, except AC's committed this, but
right.
We're getting it out of our funds, and City of Oakland's getting it out of its funds.
That's correct.
Okay, so all of the external funding we're getting is in this 178 million.
The one piece that's not included in here is the more recent $2.0 million from ACTC.
Okay.
Which will be kept outside of the 178, it will not be counted as part of the federal project because we want to be able to use it for funds that would not be allowed by the FTA.
Okay, so that's available for the other
project, yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Chris?
So for the gentleman here, could I have a question?
Yeah.
So on your program schedule?
Yes.
Okay. So what do I tell Mr. Hugo? He doesn't even smile at me no more in terms of when we're going to be done with the project. Are we on schedule?
For bid package 3, we are trying hard to be on schedule. Construction, it will be starting in February of 2016, and we will trying our best to finish it by November 2017, substantially complete.
So by 2017, we should be in full operation.
Yeah, the way the construction, we are going to, initially we're going to have Caltrans section, that is 42nd Avenue all the way to San Leandro, will be done in the first year of the construction. So in 2016, that's where the construction will be happening. And 2017, in the Oakland section, the construction will be happening.
So the only advice I would give to you is that what's happening now is that on the same corridor on International that BRT is involved with this work, you have PG&E at the other corner doing their work, then the city folks are in the middle in between, so the neighbors or the merchants don't know who's doing what, because there's no communication. So the PG&Es aren't communicating to the businesses, and they think it's you, and they're calling us. And so I think if we kind of work with the governmental bodies to make sure that we don't run into each other, and because we're blocking, disrupting the whole business corridor, but it's PG&E at one block and we're at the other end of the block, and that's, if somehow we can coordinate those activities.
Yeah, this issue actually came up in one of our construction progress meetings, weekly progress meetings. The contractor did bring it up, that he was working there and he saw PG&E also started blocking the lanes and everything. So this issue has been, we have a construction relations manager out there, community relations manager, is trying to find who is doing what and trying to communicate to the merchants over there, whether it's the AC Transit, BRT project or other projects that are on.
Chris?
Yeah, well, two things. Comment on that is, that's on the city. The city public works department issued a permit to PG&E to dig in the street. And the city public works department should be aware that we're out there. And so I don't think we should take on going and knocking on a PG&E truck and saying, what are you guys doing here? When it's all being coordinated by the city at Public Works, and they need to figure that out.
But I think what happened is we didn't directly communicate on the BRT side that we were going to be there. I mean, that's why some of the merchants are complaining, and I was there at a couple times where we blocked off International, at least half of the street, and it was BRT. Was it BRT, PG&E? We don't know which one it was there. And I think I do have the City of Oakland person here, so maybe he could answer later. Okay, thank you.
But I've got a question about the PERT chart. I don't get this, because the utility work in the parking lot, bid package 2 and bid packages 1 and 2, are currently being worked on. They're not finished.
Right, they're in construction.
But as I read this chart, they finished in the fourth quarter of 2014.
The design, the final design is...
So this chart has nothing to do with reality. It only has to do with design.
No, we do have construction at the bottom, the second row from the bottom, that shows the construction. Those bars have advanced utilities, which is bid package 1 and 2, showing where we are with respect to the construction of the project.
Okay, all right. So the red is construction and the blue is design?
Yeah, the red in a way is a critical path. The major construction is in a critical path right now, so we can meet our November 2017. So that's the indication of red. We are in a danger zone right now. We have to finish final design and start construction to meet our November 2017. But this is a program schedule that includes the bid package 1, 2, and 3, design and construction, also vehicles, also in here.
So how are you, Rama? So one of the things, as we're all concerned with, and you probably hear a lot of questions about, is, is paving and some of the kind of things that will be done at the end. And, when you hear you're going to start at one end and finish at the other end kind of gets a little nervous, thinking that perhaps the money won't be there for that certain thing. Looking at the minutes from the March 24th meeting, it said that, right now, complete paving will be done up to Bellevue Street in San Leandro. And if you look past Bellevue up to almost Dutton, at least on the north side, there's a huge flaw currently in what the pavement that will need to be fixed for sure. And trying to just make sure that we're all talking together to try to get that system, that it's identified and there's money that's going to be allocated for that. And I realize that Caltrans, this is what they should be doing all along. How can we work together to either get Caltrans to accept responsibility, but whoever's on ACTC has just heard, we just got maps of all the routes they want to abandon. And of course, International East 14th is one of those routes they want to get rid of. But we want to just make sure that, especially with the buses going on, it's really a transfer part going into the dedicated lanes from the single lanes. And it really needs to be fixed, and I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that that should be in this before we run out of money.
That's a great question. I think we talked about it last year when we walked that corridor.
Yeah, I know, you're going to hear it.
Keith and Austin can be plugged into what we have is with Caltrans, a monthly meeting or project development team meetings with Caltrans. They can plug into that, and then we can start the discussion of bringing in more funds into that corridor from Caltrans side to fix it.
Yeah, and like Oakland, our thoughts are, you only want to open it up once, you only want to disturb businesses once. Sometimes it's necessary to do it more than once, but whatever is at least harmful to businesses there, let's try to, and I realize that you guys are working double hard to try to make that not happen, because not only do you hear it from us, you hear it from the businesses, so you're kind of getting the double whammy. But just anything that we can do on our ends to help to get that accomplished, because it's no sense having this state-of-the-art system that has parts of it that don't work.
Sure, I will start working with you.
Thank you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I want to chime in on this too, because I'm living the horror at my office at 17th and Telegraph doing this. There was one point where I came down to the corner of 17th and Telegraph, and I could not walk anywhere. There was so much construction going on from various people that I literally pointed out to them. And I said, do you understand from right here, unless I break through one of your barriers, I can't go anywhere? That the crosswalks were blocked and the sidewalks were blocked. And then when you look at them, what you have to realize, we need to coordinate with Oakland and with San Leandro when we do this. In this day of cell phones, it's our responsibility for our contractors to make sure they don't overprotect. Because that's a lot of this too. Because I've noticed that in the construction that's going around in my office, they'll decide they need a half a block here, or they'll decide they need places to park their cars for their workers and things. And so they'll start diverting things about half a block back so they can put their cars in there. I'm not talking necessarily always about trucks that are needed for work, but these are things that we can really help folks with if we're coordinating with Oakland. So when it's our contractors and somebody from Public Works sees something, they can call someone from us and say, hey, your contractor's really stretched out here. Yeah. And we can do the same when we see, East Bay Mud or PG&E or the other people that Public Works has some discretion over to say, you really need to come down here and limit what they're claiming as needing for construction, because it's being around my office, it's horribly abused, and I have to imagine it's the same thing is going to be taking place on International if we allow it.
Yeah, we are having weekly meetings with the contractors and then the city staff, and also we have this construction carrier community relations manager there with his card, with his contact information, the phone number for people to call in. So far we were handling the situation as we go and addressing all the merchants' needs in the blocks that we are working on.
I have a question. We're going on bidding to ask for bids when in the fall?
Yeah,
For the final?
late October.
So in that $174 million, we have allocated what we expect to have come from the bidding,
That's correct.
which may change because construction throughout the Bay Area and all the bidding is going up.
Right. So that's one of the unforeseen, unfunded requirements. Part of it is like expecting higher bids. The way we address it is the structure in the bid documents, so we can work with the city agencies and partners here identifying alternate items like deductive alternates and additive alternates. So that way we can, if the bids come in higher together, we can take out the sections instead of rebidding.
Because that's going to create a lot of problems if the bids come in
Yes.
higher than expected because we only have that money.
So we define our base bid and then have the deductive or additive alternates there. And that way it becomes easy for the board to award.
When will we know if the bids have come out above what we expected?
We wouldn't know until we open the bids.
Yeah, so that will be when?
End of October, November.
That's
In the
for
fall?
just 3. We've already opened them for 1 and 2.
Yeah, we opened for 1 and 2 and they came very close to our bid, our estimate.
The third one? is-
Third one, once we advertise it in October, end of November is when we are expecting to get the bids back from the contractors, and that's when we're going to open. Then this is, I will briefly go over the BRT project update on each bid package. Bid package 1, we are implementing in these 3 bid packages, 1, 2, and 3. 1 is utility locations, 2 is the parking lots, 3 is the major construction. On bid package 1, we have 23 work zones throughout the corridor. We awarded this contract in April construction started in April 2015. Out of 23 work zones, 3 of them are in San Leandro, 20 of them are in Oakland. Out of 3 in San Leandro, 2 of the sites are already finished. They've completed the work. We'll start the work on the 3rd site maybe in a couple of weeks, right, coming up. In Oakland, we already finished 5 sites, and the contractor is working actively on other 5 sites on that. We are on track to finish it by December of 2015. We expected to finish it within the budget on this, on BP1.
What was the total amount of the bid awards for bid package 1?
One is 7.7 million.
7.7?
That's 7.7.
7.7 million. And that includes an allocation for contingency?
Yes.
Okay.
All the allowances and contingency, yes. And from the community outreach side, construction has been going on for almost 3 months since April. So far, we have received very minimum comments and inquiries on that. We have, as I said, we have CCRM, Construction Community Relations Manager, working with the merchants over there, business owners and property owners, and also with the contractors, addressing everyday issues that are coming up, and providing them advance notice when we will be there, when we will be taking the parking out and crosswalks out. And even the contractor, being a local contractor, and McGuire and Hester, is very accommodating with all the merchants' needs or their business owners' needs for their loading and unloading needs along the corridor. So the construction has been going very smoothly, surprisingly well in this corridor, big package 1.
How many separate?
23 work
23. So there's 23 separate contracts.
No, 23 separate sites and one contract.
And one contract.
One contract.
So there's one general contractor for the whole thing.
Yes. Okay. The slides following are some of the photos that are active work zone. You can see our project sign there with AC Transit and all the funding partners there. And the following sites are all construction, excavation, and everything like that. With that, I'm going to turn over to my colleague Mitra to talk about this package too.
Good afternoon, Mitra Mohab, Senior Project Manager of BRT. Before I start on BT2, I just wanted to make a couple of pointers for the businesses who are with Councilmember Gayo's concern. We send out a notification, construction notification letter a month before we start construction in any area. And then a week before we go out and the CCRMs will go out and hang door hangers and knock on their doors. So please pay attention to the mail. Please pay attention to what we hang on your doors. If you have any questions, there are phone numbers, emails listed on those, and the CCRM and the staff of Info Center are walking the sites. Yes, may they not be, I don't think they have an AC Transit shirt on, but they are there. They will occasionally maybe come into your business and see how you're doing, because we're working right in front of your business. And the other thing is that if you can please go back to the previous slide. One more. Yeah. So the sign you see right there, it says AC Transit brick, AC Transit logos on. Wherever we are doing a project, that sign is going to be there. So if you want to know who's working and you see that, that's us. And if there's any issues, please give us a call. We'll be there to fix it. So going back to bid package 2, these are the parking lots that AC Transit acquired in the mitigation for parking lots in Fruitvale and Elmhurst. They're both under construction. They started back in April. Most of the work is done. We have a little glitch with the drainage, which we're going to be able to fix that and pave the parking lots and put the drivers in and claim victory on these parking lots pretty soon. On the bypass, however, we have we're still negotiations with UP to be able to secure the permit to get on their properties, which we need to in order to grade the street and bring East 10th into an acceptable standard level with the street, standard with the City of Oakland. So we're still working on that. We may face a little bit of a delay with that. As of today, we don't have a delay because we added quite a few days as contingency for this project to go through end of December.
And what was the bid pack? What was the total bid packages that for?
Just one bid package.
It was just, what was it for?
3.5.
3.5?
million.
Okay.
Yes.
And that included contingency?
Correct. And unforeseen. And I think I explained a little bit on the outreach before I started, so I won't repeat all that. I just did. So this is just an overview of for you to see where the Fruitvale parking lots are located at 35th and International, which is under construction. In the next slide you can see. And the next slot is Elmhurst parking lot at Ocean and International at the corner. And these are pictures of that parking lot. The next slide shows the extent of project for the Fruitvale bypass, which starts at intersection of East 12th and Derby Avenue and goes through Derby onto East 10th and terminates at intersection of Fruitvale Avenue, San Leandro Street, and East 10th.
Could you, why are we doing this?
I don't
know. Just, what's the purpose of that?
Right. So as part of the final environmental study, this was identified a needed traffic mitigation. So it is anticipated that once the BRT is in service on International Boulevard, since we're going to go down to one general use traffic lane, some of the traffic is going to be pushed down onto East 12th. So as I understand today, East 12th and intersection of East 12th and Fruitvale Avenue is already pretty much at capacity, and it's a pretty traffic jam there. So in order to relieve that intersection from all that traffic and the new traffic that is now going to be on there because of the BRT operation, we are improving this this route to become a bypass, if you will. So for cars, they can turn on Derby Avenue from East 12th and avoid the intersection at East 12th and Fruitvale. And this is especially for people who are going down to Alameda or want to continue on San Leandro Street.
And so we're enlarging intersections?
We're not enlarging, we're actually aligning, what's called an aligning. So today, I don't know if it's very clear on there or not, but East 10th and San Leandro Street are not aligned. There's like a jog, the intersection is not aligned. So what we're doing, we're going to improve that. And that's why we had to purchase that sliver of land at the corner of East 10th and Fruitvale, where we call it Gohala Restaurant, just because everybody knows it. So we're going to actually extend the improvement of the road into that property now that now it's AC Transit property, which eventually will be dedicated to the City of Oakland as part of their roadway system.
That's a lot of work in that $3.5 million.
It is a lot of work, and believe me, this looks like a small project, a block and a half. It's been very, very difficult to get everything coordinated and sorted out to actually get the project done. So the next one is bid package 3. So my colleague Rama did touch on this, so I don't want to bore you with all the repeat, but basically we are anticipating to finish final design at the end of September and go through the bidding and contracting process and award the contract in December and hopefully start the construction in February of 2016. And the construction completion date, again, late 2017 to early 2018, and this is because of the special phasing and sequencing that we are putting on the contractor now, noting that generally when the contractors come on board, they have their own, they generally pose their own schedule and phasing all that, but at this point we're giving them a special phasing and of course unforeseen conditions. We are already facing under BP1, BP2, we dig up the street. There are 5 new pipes going, nobody knows what they are, so.
Mitra,
yes.
If we go into early 2018, that's going to cost us more every month, correct?
Correct.
What are we talking about cost per month?
100,000.
100,000 per month?
Correct. For these are soft costs for managing the project. Right.
So, going back to that bypass, the Fruitvale bypass.
Yes.
So did we resolve all the issues with Union Pacific Railroad, the City of Oakland, and what we're to accomplish?
So fortunately, we don't have any problems with City of Oakland. Everybody
the
is good.
sidewalks and all that other
UP
parking.
though is a whole different story. So we still have not been able to. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to do a special thanks to City Administrator that they've gotten involved at the beginning of this week and trying to work with UPRR and resolve the outstanding issues we have on them to issue the permit to us. And unfortunately, we have not been successful.
You had the city people involved?
Yes, City Administrator, someone from City Administrator has just gotten involved, as I said, at the beginning of this week, and they're in conversation.
Part of that roadway belongs to the city, and then the other side is Union Pacific. So.
Correct. So if you look on the south side of East 10th, we need to get on UP property. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to go to slide 35. Yeah. So in closing, we have come far since last September that we saw you. We have done many accomplishments that my colleagues, they have touched on most of them. And I'm just going to combine these two and talk in terms of City of San Leandro and Oakland. We have, listening to the merchants and residents out there, we shifted a couple of stations in San Leandro successfully and total of 4 in Oakland to avoid impacts. There is an additional art and hand station, as we mentioned earlier, in San Leandro in collaboration with the city staff, and there are a total of 5 in City of Oakland. And as far as one thing that was not mentioned, anyone's, and I'm going to mention it, is the fiber optics. We have made a great progress on that. We are able to complement the City of San Leandro existing fiber optic system, and in City of Oakland, we're going to fill in the gaps and provide them with additional strands. So they're going to have a more upgraded, if you will, fiber optic system. And think that's pretty much it. And then we talked about Rama talked about the sewer laterals and sewer man upgrades that are happening in both cities. And we're almost completed in San Leandro and ongoing in the city of Oakland. Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we conclude, if I may, Chair Ortiz, just I'd like to add one quick comment about our upcoming outreach efforts. I turn it over to the city to give a couple remarks about that.
So I just wanted to remind us all that we committed to an iterative process with the community, and the process that we committed to that's coming to culmination is the process by which we discovered everything we can do under the design to mitigate parking and business concerns. And as the final part of that, before we complete the 100% design, we're going to go back out on July 30th with an open house. We'll hold a community outreach working group meeting, and then in the later part of the afternoon, we'll have an open house where concerned individuals can come and see the parking impact program. They can come and see the landscape improvements and what they're going to look like, and they can hear about the upcoming business impact mitigation programs. It hasn't been announced yet. We just decided on a date. So we'll be sending out a save the date announcement as soon as possible, I hope, and then an agenda later.
And subject to questions from committee members, that concludes our Policy Steering Committee BRT project update meeting. Please.
Okay, so one of my questions is regarding surveillance cameras. It seems to be a very hot topic in San Leandro, and we're actually doing a camera study right now in San Leandro, anywhere from the body-worn cameras the police are using to in our parking and garage and so forth. And so as we add stations, there are going to be cameras. And so I would just like to know the camera policy, and I know you might not have it ready right now, but before we actually add the cameras, the line of vision that they would be shooting, what's the retention, and those kind of things, who has access to it, is it real time or not? And at one point, I believe that we were talking about the safety of it being that people have access, and we talked a little bit, but people would have access to actual real-time, viewing the camera. If they think something's going wrong in the particular station or something like that, they'd be able to view it. Other than that, it's not going to really be viewed unless, in retrospect, there was a problem or something like that. And then just who has access to that and how long the records are being kept. Oh, okay. So, if you could include us just as you're working on it and so forth. I know it's a work in progress. There is keen interest for that.
Yes.
Okay. Good question. Good answer.
Great.
Yeah. One last question for David.
Right.
What sorts of things is contingency allowed to be used for?
Well, the program contingency is really for any kind of unforeseen condition. So it could be something that we find in the field when we're doing construction. It might be because of unforeseen delays that are not caused by AC Transit as a project sponsor, but there might be some events, even like weather events, that might prohibit construction for a certain period of time, which then affects the overall schedule. And then the contingency is used for those kinds of things.
And that's spelled out in the contract, what it can be used for?
Well, the program contingency is what we use as the program managers to ensure that we have sufficient resources to mitigate risks that are inherent in these kinds of complex projects. Within each construction contract, we build in allowances for unforeseen conditions. So, in fact, we essentially apply contingency within the contract, but it's called an allowance, but it's in there. So both bid package 1 and bid package 2 have this allowance, And in those cases, we've actually tapped into those, that part of their contract budget to address issues that have happened in the field thus far.
And change orders are all above that.
Well, the change order is the mechanism by which that allowance is then implemented, right? That's just the kind of construction management process document. And so if there is an unforeseen condition that's beyond the scope of the project, then a change order would allow us to direct the contractor to use your allowance dollars to deal with this unforeseen condition.
Yeah. But if the drawings change, is that contingency or is that outside?
Yes, because typically the drawings would change because of something that's found in the field, right? Because for example, even on that.
I just want to, because that's my concern about all of this is the level of contingency.
As is ours.
And it's close.
Yes.
I just want to thank AC Transit, all the city employees, and when you stop and look at the accomplishment and what we're about to do, it's really impressive. I think that one is, I read your new infrastructure, 18 curbside stations, 20 median stations, 5 art enhanced stations, 2.1 million landscaping features, sewer mains and sewer laterals, which is big, 288 fiber optic network strands, 9.5 million of new paving and other street improvements that we as a city would never have been able to accomplish on our own. So I just want to thank you publicly. I think it's the right thing to do. I think we settled a lot of differences, and so I just want to publicly recognize and thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for all the important work and progress. Also, Director Chris Peoples had asked about Oakland Public Works, and so I did want to point out Mike Neary from Oakland Public Works is here. So in terms of questions folks may have about that coordination, he is here. So thank you, Mike, and hope you don't regret being here since I called you out. But if folks have specific follow-up questions for Mike, I'm sure he can help with that. I'm looking forward to a really great project that is also going to be the first BRT project in this area, and hopefully really impress people with what's possible and what's achievable. And just, Greg, when you were talking about contingencies and things, I was just reminded of the 20th Street Bus Hub, right, which was a one-block project, and there were things underground that were not in the drawings of what was underground. So once they started digging down to put the posts in to hold the bus shelters, then things had to change, and that was in a one-block project. And then, so, I won't be shocked that there are things like that, but I am glad that folks are working together, and I look forward to folks continuing to work together, including on how we can strengthen the construction timeline, because that also saves money and is better. So really want to appreciate everyone's collaboration.
Chair Ortiz, we did have a final speaker on this item. Jeffrey Johnson.
Good afternoon, committee members. Jeffrey Johnson, community planner for Transform. I'm a little jet lagged. I just got back from a family vacation, which was really good. As you guys all know, Transform has been sort of at the part of this project from the beginning, and we're really excited about the latest developments. And we've worked with the city of Oakland, our community-based allies, to sort of work on the issues that were brought up earlier by the merchants, and we will continue to be part of those meetings. But I am personally excited about this. I'm probably one of the few people in this room that has, my first memories in life is being in Oakland. I was potty trained in Oakland, went to school in Oakland, and as a young child, I rode the 82 and the 83 on the International Boulevard. And I think sometimes we forget about the transit rider, and sometimes their voice goes unnoticed or unheard. And I think it's this world-class project which is going to move people through the corridor faster, get people to work, doctor's appointment. I don't know the numbers in terms of the people who ride the 1 and the 1R, but there's a lot of poor people of color and working class people that ride the 1R and the 1. And I think sometimes we forget about that. And I think this project is going to help them, and I think it's going to help Oakland. And we, like I said, Transform, we want to work with folks to come up with solutions to some of these questions. But again, we really are excited about this project. And my colleague, Joel Ramos, who a lot of you guys know, has basically worked on this project from the beginning. So we're really excited. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that? The next
Staff
meeting.
want to set a date and time for the next meeting?
Next meeting.
No? Yes? Maybe? Sorry?
Yes, we can decide, yeah.
Okay. Later, they want to defer. And before I do, is there any agenda or any issue that you want to put on the agenda? Or if you think about it, you can let us know. Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about it, but it would be great to see pictures of the buses. I understand the vehicles themselves have already been selected. Is that correct or not? Or
We're not through that process yet.
oh, they're not quite selected. Okay, great. Because there was some mention of that on the timeline. So it maybe at a future meeting, if we could get something about the vehicles themselves would be nice to see.
We'll be back at the board meeting soon, but we have not.
They will be American made.
So can you keep your current administrator to 2017?
No.
And with that, adjourn. Thank you for your time.
Get some sleep.
The staff.